Let's talk about something a lot of us kind of dread, the lesson plan. But what if we thought about it differently? What if it's not just some boring document, but the secret weapon that turns a chaotic, all over the place presentation into something clear, engaging, and, well, actually memorable? So let's dive in and master this art. You've been there, right? I mean, we all have. Whether you're the one speaking or the one listening. That feeling when things just start to drift. The points get jumbled. You totally lose the plot. It's a universal feeling, and there's a really simple reason why it happens. And that's it. That's the secret. The huge gap between a confusing session and a really impactful one, it isn't magic, and it's not just about natural talent. It's all about the preparation. A solid plan is the foundation that lets you be creative, interactive, and make sure people actually get it.
So in this explainer, we're going to build that foundation from the ground up. We'll kick things off with why planning even matters. Then we'll break down the anatomy of a great lesson. We'll look at two awesome blueprints. You'll hear them called PPP and TTT. After that, we'll figure out how to define your destination with a crystal clear aim, and we'll wrap it all up with a final checklist to make sure you're good to go.
First things first, let's get right to the heart of it. Why even bother with a detailed plan? I mean, can't we just wing it and go with the flow? Well, there are at least 3 fantastic reasons not to. For starters, a plan keeps you from mixing everything up. It just brings some much-needed order to your thoughts. Second, it gives you and your audience a clear roadmap from A to B. And third, a really well-made plan isn't a one-and-done thing. It's a resource you can tweak and reuse later, which saves you from reinventing the wheel every single time.
I absolutely love this analogy. You know, an old school plan might be like a paper map, useful but rigid. A modern lesson plan, though, it's way more like your GPS. It knows where you're going, it gives you turn-by-turn directions, and it can even help you find a new route if you hit a roadblock. It just gives you that confidence and direction.
This brings us to a really crucial balancing act that every great plan needs, the balance between focus and variety. Focus is your why. It's what makes the whole thing purposeful. You can think of it as your destination. But, without variety, different activities, different ways of interacting, that journey can get pretty boring. Variety is what keeps everyone engaged and stimulated. You absolutely need both. Okay, so we know why we need a plan. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of what actually goes into one. What are the building blocks of a really successful lesson? So, most great lessons follow this really logical 5-stage flow. You start with an introduction to get everyone's attention. Then you present the new stuff. Next up is controlled practice, where people get to try out the new skill in a safe, guided way. That leads right into freer practice, where they can use it more on their own. And finally, you check for learning to make sure it all landed. See how each stage builds on the last? Now, the important thing to remember here is that this 5-step sequence isn't just a random list. It's a carefully designed journey. You're taking your audience from a state of, I don't know this, all the way to, hey, I can actually do this. It's the path to real skill. So, how do we take that 5-stage structure and actually apply it? Let's check out 2 really popular frameworks or blueprints that bring all this theory to life. First up is PPP. That stands for Presentation, Practice, and Production. This is the classic, super straightforward model. You, the expert, present a new idea. Then, the learners practice it with your help, and finally, they produce it on their own. It's linear, it's clear, and it's honestly fantastic if you're new to teaching or just need a direct approach. The other way to go is TTT. Test, teach, test. And this one kind of flips the script. You actually start by testing to find out what your audience already knows. Then, based on what you find, you teach just the stuff they need. You fill in the gaps. And then you test again to see how well they've picked up the new info. It's much more focused on the learner. So, which one should you use? Well, it really depends. PPP is really efficient and clearly structured, which is perfect for new tutors. The downside? It can get a little predictable, maybe less engaging. On the other hand, TTT is all about the learner and builds on what they already know, but it definitely takes more experience to manage on the fly, and probably isn't the best for total beginners. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. Now, no matter which framework you choose, PPP, TT, or something else, there is one thing that is absolutely non-negotiable: your destination. And in lesson planning, we call that the aim. A good aim is your North Star. It guides every single thing you do, and it needs to have these 5 qualities. It's got to be clear, so there's no confusion; limited, so you're not trying to boil the ocean in one session;
Explicit, not vague. It has to be achievable in the time you have. And of course, relevant to your audience. If your aim misses any of these, your lesson's going to feel a bit lost.
Okay, here's a super common trap. Confusing your aim with your procedure. The procedure is the how. It's the activity you're going to do. For example, students will ask each other questions. But the aim? That's the what and the why. It's the actual learning goal. Learners will be able to talk about their families. The activity is just the bus you take to get to your destination.
So here's the absolute simplest way to remember it. Your aim always, always, always describes what the learner will be able to do by the end of the lesson that they couldn't do before it started. It's all about that new ability.
All right, we've covered the why, the what, and the where to. To finish up, let's just run through a quick-fire checklist of the other crucial bits and pieces you need to pull this all together. So once you've got your aim, map out your procedures, the step-by-step plan to get there. Then be ruthless with your timing. Seriously, running out of time is a classic lesson killer, because those final practice stages are usually the most important. Plan for different kinds of interaction. Don't just lecture the whole time. And finally, double-check your materials. Make sure they're ready, they make sense, and they're free of errors.
In the end, just remember this. A lesson plan isn't a rigid script that you have to follow word for word. It's a map. It gives you structure, it gives you direction, and it gives you the confidence to guide people on a really engaging journey. So the real question is, where's that journey going to take you?